Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will be showing you how to make and set up two kinds of primitive traps, the spring snare trap and the figure 4 deadfall trap. The purpose of this video is that if you ever find yourself in a survival situation, whether it be a hiking trip gone wrong or a natural disaster, you're going to need food. And these two traps could very well save your life. The first thing that we need to go over are some safety rules and laws. So when using a knife to make either of these traps, please use proper knife safety. Do not cut towards yourself or away in front of another person so that you do not injure yourself or another person near you. The PA Game Commission states that you need a trapping and fur taker's permit in order to set traps with intent of catching and killing an animal. So please, if you are going to be setting these traps to kill an animal, unless you are in a survival situation, please get a permit. But if you are just setting these traps up for practicing purposes, when you set it up, do not leave it. You gotta take it down immediately so that you do not kill an animal and then be a poacher. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is a spring snare trap. Now I will show you how to make it. First materials that you're going to need are 3 sticks, about 8 to 10 inches long. Now these two here are going to be your anchor sticks. Now on these two you need to cut a point on the ends of both of these, and then about an inch or so, 2 inches from the top, you're going to need to cut a notch, pretty significant notch with a flat top. The third stick you're going to need is your trigger stick, and this is of simple length, about the same, 8 to 10 inches, but you're going to need to cut a 90-degree angle but in alternate sides. So the two here and here, and then this one here and here. That is because when this trap is sitting in the ground, it's going to be alternating, so that when the animal walks through, it can come and trigger it either way. It'll knock it off this one and fly up, or it'll knock it off this one and fly up. This stick is what you tie a rope to and bend a sapling down as your spring. And then the anchor sticks are what holds this in place. You bring another string down, make like a noose here, and so when an animal walks through, its head will get wrapped in the noose and knock this stick out of place, causing the trigger to launch it into the air and kill it. Alright guys, so I went ahead and tied our trigger stick to a sapling, and what you can either do is cut a sapling down and stick it in the ground to put the trap where you want, or you can just, you don't have to, you just find a sapling, bend it down. So what I'm going to do next, because this took a while, so I got the snare rope all set up, the trigger. So what you want to do now is you want to take your anchor sticks and you want to drive these bad Larrys into the ground make sure they're pretty secure. They're not just gonna fly up out of it. And remember, you want these nocks facing opposite directions. Because the trigger, you gotta remember, is facing opposite directions. And what you do is you bring this down and you want to match up the nocks here. Sometimes you gotta get them just right in order for them to stay, because it's a hair trigger, you see. Then you just set this up, and a lot of the time what you'll want to do is try to find like a little animal trail, rabbit trail, squirrels, something that an animal will happen to walk through this. And if you can take logs or something and put them on the side, just so that the animal has no choice but to walk through here. So when the animal walks through it, they come through and they have their head looped in this noose here. It gets them. In this trigger, they'll hang, basically, till they die. That is the spring snare trap. Alright, the next trap we got here is the figure 4 deadfall trap. Now, it's called the figure 4 because when it's all set up, it looks like a number 4. And in this section, I'm going to show you how to cut each stick, what the notches are and where they need to be. This one's a little bit trickier to set up. So, first start with your trigger stick, and then your anchor stick, and your release stick. So your trigger stick, you're going to want to cut a point on one end. This is where you put your bait. And then roughly about in the middle, not quite, depends on the size of your trap, you're going to want to cut another notch with a flat spot here. I like to call these L notches or number 7 notches. And then you want to turn your stick about 90 degrees from this one, and on the top here you want to cut another notch about 2 inches from the end. And then your next stick you want to cut is your anchor stick. Now this, what happens is when it's in the ground here, it notches on to here. So you want to make sure that cut right here is a 90-degree angle, and a point on this end, just because that goes in the ground, and then a one-sided knock here. Your release stick is what holds these two together. Now on this one, you want right about in the middle another number 7 knock, and then on the end of it a tapered knock. So when these are in the ground, they make a number 4. Like simply like this. Now I will show you guys how to set this one up. Alright, for this, you're gonna need something big, like, but not too heavy. A rock, good sized log, because this is what falls on your prey and kills it. So, what you first want to do is take your anchor stick, and you want to drive this one into the ground. This is the only one that sticks in the ground. Then you want to take your bait stick and set it right on that 90-degree knock that you put in this anchor stick here. You want to take this knock, set it right in there. It should sit pretty nice. And then you take your trigger, your release stick here, put this knock right on the end of your bait stick, and set this right there. Now this can be a bit tricky. This is one of my least favorite traps. You gotta hold it, then you gotta take the log down and set it just right. And there we go. So when an animal here starts nibbling on this, boom, it's dead. Now that we have come to the end of this presentation, I would like to conclude by saying that the purpose of this video is that if you ever find yourself in a survival situation, these two traps can save your life. But if you are setting these traps with the intent of killing an animal and you are not in a survival situation, please follow the law and get a trapping and fur taker's permit. But if you are just setting these traps for practicing purposes only, please take them down immediately. Also, when using a knife to make either of these traps, please use proper knife safety to limit your chances of injury. Now I would like to ask that if you have any questions.